Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is William Michael Forbes. I want to welcome you to today's Shortcuts for Your Soul. And today it is about creative thoughts, and how important it is to understand how thoughts actually create experiences. And we're just going to wait a few moments for people to arrive. If you want to support this channel, and you want to support the messages that we're putting out, please go to williammichaelforbes.com. And you can become a member of my page there. You could also become a member of my Patreon page, William Michael Forbes on Patreon. As well, you can, geez, I'm a little tongue-tied today. A lot of stuff happening on the planet. Also, if you want to support this work, do yourself a favor and sign up for our mediumship courses, which begin in September of 2005. All the information for the course and classes are at williammichaelforbes.com. About creative thought. This is an important subject because a lot of people don't realize that thought is creative. You know, we have thoughts going through our mind, but most people don't recognize that every single thought that we think is a creative influence of consciousness and energy. Every single thought that you think is a creative influence of energy. And we're going to talk a bit about how thoughts actually create conditions in our world and what makes one thought more potent versus another thought. What makes one thought more creative over another, and what control or what ability do we have that we can cultivate that will enable us to utilize the process of thought for creating intelligently our experiences in this three-dimensional realm of time, space, and matter. Height, depth, width. This simple three dimensions that we live in is governed by creative thought, coupled with emotion. And yeah, it's very fascinating. Thank you. And I've got Lord Metatron with me today, which is fun because he loves the idea of how thoughts work and how intricate they can be. He says creative thoughts are literally the surgical implements of the soul. Creative thoughts are the surgical implements of the soul for creating and in the operating theater of life, for creating in the operating theater of life. As you understand the power of your thought and that you actually can change the level of intensity of thoughts, that you can add them, subtract them, or delete them from your life. You will also learn then you can add, subtract, and delete events, people, and circumstances from your life if you understand the simple process of creative thought and how it actually works. And yes. I've got somebody else here with me. I'm not sure who they are, but they're talking about the idea of understanding how your thoughts affect the physical reality of your own body instantaneously. There's no escape. Every thought you will think will affect your physiology immediately in varying degrees of intensity. Metatron says, I'm here to allow you to understand the precision that thought has over time, space, and matter. Whereas this other one's here to give you an understanding of what you can create or not create with thought. So it's a really good subject, and I think we're going to have some very interesting ideas come out from this. So, thought. Where do your thoughts come from? Where do they originate? This is the first question that we want to ask you. Where did your thoughts come from? When do you first remember having thoughts? Because when you first began to have thoughts, that's when you began the process of being given this tool to deliberately create experience in the experience of your physical life. Most of you don't realize that most of the thoughts that you have were given to you before you were even aware that you had them. Many of you did not start to recognize that you had thoughts that were independent of who you are until you were often in your late teens or early adult years. Many of you couldn't make that distinction between these thoughts that were in your head and where they originated from. So we asked you to consider where your thoughts came from. So from wherever your thoughts came, the influence that those thoughts have had on your life is very important to understand. And there's not one aspect of your life that is exempt from a process of thought. And that thought can be either yours or somebody else's. So it's important to understand which thoughts are your thoughts, which thoughts are thoughts that you have acquired, been given to us, um, mhm, and which thoughts were given to you emotionally, which thoughts were given to you emotionally. This one here, they're not identifying themselves, they're just saying it's important you understand that the thoughts that were given to you emotionally before you could discern that you could choose your thoughts, the thoughts that were given to you emotionally before you could discern that you had thoughts are the thoughts that bear the greatest influence creatively in your life today. The thoughts, that's fascinating. The thoughts that have the greatest emotion connected to them bear the greatest influence in our lives. And I know from personal experience that there was a lot of emotion in my family environment when I grew up, and that emotion had a lot of beliefs and ideas connected to it. And from the perspective of a child, as I recall, from the perspective of a child, I did not weigh or analyze those thoughts. I observed them and the emotions that went with them, and they essentially came right into my nervous system and became a part of my unconscious mind. And it wasn't until I hit age 20, for me at least, age 20 was when I began the journey of beginning to make the distinction between myself as the thinker and myself as the thoughts. Uh, Metatron says if you understand the different components of which we are speaking today, you will begin to get an inkling of the level of precision available to you in your creative process to design your life to be the expression you came here to experience, to design creatively and intelligently with precision the experience you came here to create. Um, so coming to that place, where do your thoughts originate from? First and foremost, where do most of your thoughts come from? They coming from the television? They coming from the radio? They coming from your teachers, your parents, your spouse, your children? Where do your children's thoughts come from? Where do they get their first thoughts from? What were the quality of those thoughts? These are questions that you need to begin answering for yourself so that you can get a clear picture of what your mind consists of in the way of thought. All, yes, he's just telling me to reiterate, all thoughts are a creative influence in your experience of time and space. The difference in the impact that thoughts will have on your life differs only and in degree of intensity according to the type and quality of emotions that are connected to them. He says there are thoughts that have no resistance in time and space, and these thoughts without resistance in time and space do not necessarily require an emotion for them to occur. What do you mean by that? He says, what I mean by that is that if there is no resistance in that thought moving through energy, if you look at a boat going through water or a plane going through air, you will see that the energy around it in the form of water or air parts from around, goes around and forms around the movement of the object going through it. In this case, we are speaking of thought. So your thought is actually influencing and organizing the matter without resistance. He says, emotion amplifies the intensity of a thought so that it will have a more pronounced influence in your physical world and a more pronounced influence in the worlds and lives of those people around you. You can change the intensity and effect of an emotion deliberately, and thereby add that emotion to a thought, therefore making that thought more creative in your life. But if you have a thought that has no resistance within yourself or in the world around you, then that thought can create instantaneously. That thought can create instantaneously. That's why so many of you had the experience of, oh, I just thought about that and it's happened. Because when you thought about it, there was no resistance within you to restrict that thought. But many of you have restrictions on the thoughts that you want to experience as your creations. I want to be wealthy, but your bank account's poor. You have thoughts and emotions inside you that actually put up great resistance to a thought from it occurring in your reality. Mm-hmm. But first, we draw you back again to understand the nature of your thoughts, where they originated, and who gave them to you. Because many of your thoughts were given to you and are still being given to you. And many of you cannot think independent of what has been given to you. But once you begin this process of learning to think independent of your thoughts, then you move into the position, the creative workshop, if you like, of the divine that you are. For you are an extension of the divine. You came here to sculpt and shape and manifest conditions as your experience. And you can only do this from the perspective of being the artist and not the brush and not the canvas. Please understand, if you realize in terms of creativity the distinction between yourself as awareness and the thoughts that you possess or acquire or release from your consciousness. Mhm. So you will find that many of you will have experiences in your life that are not pleasant, and you wonder why they've happened to you. And we would say to you that these are emotional elements with thoughts bounded to them that you have either acquired in the early part of your life, or you've acquired during your life, or you've acquired from other lifetimes of experience that you've brought forward as information through your DNA. When you come to the understanding that you can become aware of these emotions and thoughts and release them, then you will begin to creatively reorganize your affairs to be more in alignment with who you are and what you want to experience, as opposed to what you feel you have to experience. Yes. He was just saying, people can always tell when their lives are not their own because you're experiencing conditions that you don't understand why these conditions are happening. So you've got acquired thoughts and emotions in the system that have conditioned you to accept a particular reality as real. And therefore it happens, even if it feels uncomfortable, it'll happen. And I've got many instances of that from my life where I um, was creatively feeling a certain way, but not conscious of why I was feeling, being angry or upset, and then having things happen around me and to me that reflected that anger and upset almost precisely. So yes, um, so so Metatron is saying it's important you become precise in being conscious of choosing your thoughts at all times. There should be no moment where you are not aware of what your brain is thinking. And you should only allow your brain to be thinking those thoughts that you wish to be experiencing as your reality. Um, and this other one is saying that it's important you learn to monitor the emotions, those thoughts, and understand that you can change that as well. You can take the volume, the intensity, the strength, the power out of an emotion, and therefore alter the way in which that thought will be carried out or not carried out into your experience. And then I'm saying the higher functionality of your creativity cannot occur until you can master the fundamentals of thought, which is being conscious that you can choose thought, being aware that there are no thoughts that are occurring in your mind without your allowance of them, that there is no more unconscious thinking processes, that you are now in a conscious process of being deliberately and meticulously now the creator, the designer of your expression and experience. Mm-hmm. So I said, we'll walk you through a simple process of choosing a single thought that you would like to experience. We want to walk you through a process of choosing a single thought that you want to create as an experience. Um, so we would request that you consider a thought that you would like to be your experience, that would delight you if you could experience it. And we recommend that you choose something that you don't have internal resistance to, something perhaps that's new in your life, something outside of what you've normally experienced. We have often found that those of you that want to create something new, like great wealth or a new relationship, have inside you a resistance, a fear, an uncertainty, something that will add a weight to the thought, so it has no choice to really create any influence in the material world around you. So we request that you choose one that is simple and easy at this time, and just write that thought down and put that thought aside for a few moments. Thank you. Oh, thank you for that $20, Angela. I really appreciate it. Boggy Miller, thank you for that $5. Does Lord Metatron have a message for me? Thank you. Many of you will find yourselves struggling to not be distracted by your past. But if you were to drive a car only looking out your rearview mirror, there would only be one result. If you are not aware of where you are going and clear about that destination in thought and in feeling, you will find yourself challenged. Be very clear and concise of the manner in which you wish to think and upon which you wish to think. It is important to be very mindful and present. It is the level of it is a level of precision that can only unfold when you become conscious of what your brain is thinking, what your brain is conditioned to think, and how to relieve yourself of the effects of these. I'm going to, can I paraphrase that? Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase that. So when you find yourself being um, manipulated or influenced by thoughts from your past and emotions from your past, you have to become really centered in the present moment. It's the only place that we can actually consciously create something new in our lives is in the present moment. You cannot create something new in your life from what you remember. You can't create anything new from what you already know. You can only create something new from what's new in your what you choose that's different and outside of the framework. Which is why she's asked you to turn around and choose a thought that you want to create that's outside what you've experienced. She says you don't have to restrict yourself to that. If you have no resistance to the thought you choose, then you will understand the process very clearly. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to scroll up and see if I got any questions. So it's really important you understand this. Yes, I know. Um, I will say this. So I'm just going to say this is important if you want to really get into an in-depth understanding of what we are speaking about today. Please sign up for our mediumship courses that start in September. They will change your life and they will give you an awareness of yourself as something that's separate and distinct from who you've been taught to think you're supposed to be, that you'll then be able to be free to start actively, consciously, deliberately, and intelligently creating the life that you came here to create as an expression of your being and not a subjectivity to the expression and thoughts and ideas of others that have been imposed on your brain and your body. So let's see what we have in the way of questions here so far. Yes, we're going to get to a short activity about the thought. So I hope that all of you, and I want to welcome anybody that's new here today as well, please write a thought down that's something you'd like to have as an experience in your life. Make it simple. Make it something that's outside something you've normally experienced, but something that you don't feel a resistance to internally. It's important that when you choose a thought, the idea of walking out your door, for example, me walking out the door this morning and having a feather drifting in front of me is a thought I might choose right now. So that when I go outside and when that feather comes drifting down in front of me, I'll understand that I created that effect. And you really do have to watch your thoughts. Yeah. Every thought you think is a creative influence when it's got especially when it's got an emotion to it. But we're going to take a few questions and see where we go. So don't look back, Bogmilla. That's such an important thing to realize. Many of us look backwards, trying to go forward, and we're struggling. It's like you've got this big rubber band attached, and you're trying to go forward. And it's so hard to go forward. It's because you're attached to your past. You're attached to your past in the present, and it stops you moving forward. Again, we will teach you how to let go of your past if you're willing to do that. Come to the course and classes. You don't have to be stuck to your past anymore. Once you're free from that, the weight of your past, you're free to fly in the present. I love it. Thank you. Somebody's okay. Here we go. Question from Love. Was Credo from South Africa right about energies there and around the world regarding natives and ancient times regarding humanity? That is absolutely correct. I got an absolute yes, yes, yes for that. And that there's going to be a rebooting of those energies now. There are conditions and circumstances unfolding on the planet today that are going to allow a reawakening at a much higher level for these earth keepers. They call them the earth keepers. The native community are the earth keepers. And with the earth keepers this time, they'll be the ones they call the soul keepers and the spirit keepers, which are the people that are working with the ascension movement, and those that are coming from the angelic realms to work with us are here now. Thank you. I can just feel that too. I hope you guys just felt what I felt. Just as soon as I spoke those words, I could feel that the energy of these being just going, yes, yes. Question from Nicole. Why am I having trouble manifesting my life purpose? I don't think negative thoughts, but it comes. This is a great question, Nicole. Remember, even though you've cleaned up your mind in the present, and this stands true for all of us, if we have not let go of our past emotions, or if we get triggered by the present about things we've forgotten that are still in our subconscious mind influences, it can restrict our creative process. The goal today, they're telling me the goal today is for you to get an understanding of how to choose thoughts that have no resistance. Because once you start to experience thoughts that have no resistance, and you can experience something simple like a feather dropping down in front of you, or you're walking down the street and you decide, I'm going to find 25-cent piece. And you walk down the street and you find a 25-cent piece. Or you're walking around and you're thinking, I wonder how so-and-so's doing. I'd really love to talk to them. And suddenly your phone rings and there they are talking to you. But whatever the thought is that you're going to choose, start off with something that's fairly simple, that is outside what you remember, but within the confines of something that you believe is possible. Because if you believe it's possible, then it's more likely to happen. It's about gaining awareness that your thought creates conditions in the world around you. But they're saying for you specifically, it's because of the unconscious tethers you have to release yourself from. Look back. They're saying look back on your life that was before with love and gratitude, and be willing to let it go into the waters of the past. Be willing to let your past go into the waters of the past and be here now with us as we are with you in this creative moment, knowing full well that it is by your choice and your intention of what is now that you will create that which it is. You are not prevented from having that which you are seeking. You are simply holding on to something that prevents you from moving forward. As this one said a few moments ago about the rubber band, many of you are attached to this thing called your past, and you aren't even aware of that attachment. And you push forward and you push forward, and things seem so hard and difficult, but they are not really hard and difficult, except for the fact that you are holding on to your past, which prevents you from going forward. And when you release yourself from the emotions of your past, you will be free to live in the joy of the present. Cool. Thank you, Nicole. It's amazing, when you guys ask these questions, there's so much more that can come through than I can conceive of. I love it. Question from Manoj. William, you once told me that I am currently not in my right career because I chose it due to my fears and insecurities. Please ask Metatron to advise me on that, please. Sorry, he's just giggling. He's saying, does he said, okay, do you not know that you have choice over these matters? I would say that you do not, for the conditions that you are in, and the fact that you're asking this question of me would indicate that you have not clearly gotten an understanding of who you are and what you truly wish to do and be of service in this world. Be clear on what it is you are here to give of yourself that gives you joy to give, and you will come closer in what you do to being that which you know is your purpose. Understand that when you are being in joy in what you do, you will be fulfilling your purpose, and all of the things that are connected to it and all of the things that are beyond it that are yet to come will come into your life. He's saying your joy is like a rope that you pull yourself along. As you keep pulling yourself along the rope, you come to different things along the way that are part of that. You pull yourself into your joy. You pull yourself into your future from your present of joy. Cool. Great question, Manoj. Um, uh, Mike is asking, how do we focus on the emotions of our thoughts when the reality is so vivid? I feel the thought of wealth when I meditate, but I see the reality of lack. This is a great question, Mike, and it's one that they've showed me how to deal with really effectively. So I'll share with you the little tiny bit that I've learned over the last couple of years working with my guides and angels and these ascended beings. Um, it's not a matter, if you see the lack out there, then you're backpedaling. If you have to not, every time you start to perceive any form of lack, or you think out there is lack, you have to come back to the feeling of abundance and prosperity. You literally have to keep doing that in the face of that, and stay in that feeling and not be attached to that. And this is where a lot of people struggle. They see, their eyes and ears see and hear certain things, and yet you can create something different, but you're going to have to stay in the vibration, the feeling, the thought of your wealth and your prosperity and your joy. That you have to stay in that. And anytime something unlike it comes up into your awareness or to your senses, you have to go back to the vibration of what it is you want your experience to actually be. That takes practice and discipline. Meditation is very important for this. The students that come into our courses and classes learn by the end of the courses how to meditate for up to 3 hours a day, some of them. So it's really important. When you can establish a state of emotion and energy in your being, it will reorganize affairs out there. And what your job is, when you're in that emotion of prosperity and wealth and joy, you want to stay in it to such a degree until you start to see, it will start to organize affairs around you. You'll see little glimpses of it. Suddenly you might get somebody suddenly gives you $5, or somebody owes you money you haven't heard from in a long time. They come and give you money. You will begin to see, if you stay focused on that energy and away from the feelings of lack and struggle that are going on around you. Even when you get bills, stay in the feeling of joy and pay the bill from that place of joy. You have to establish an energy that will organize those affairs, even in the reality of that seems to be contradictory to what you're imagining. And this is where persistence stays in. You stay in it until results begin to show up. And that's where most people fall down, is they keep seeing with their eyes and hearing with their ears, but they're not staying connected to the power and the strength and the beauty of their vision in their heart. And so they go running out to the world again, and they leave their dreams behind in their heart. So stay connected. In spite of what's going on around you, stay connected to that feeling of wealth and joy. And as long as you stay connected to that feeling, something's going to start changing. And when you start seeing little things change, that's when you start going, yes, it is working. Yes, it might not change everything right away, but it might. But it will change something. And then something else will change, and something else will change. But you have to stay, yes, you have to stay fully anchored in the vibration, in spite of what this third dimensional timeline appears to be. It took time to create the conditions you're in. It will take time to create the new conditions you want to create. So be patient, be persistent, and have fun. Anticipate, where is it going to show up? Where's the representative of these new feelings going to show up? Look for that. Start looking for the new feeling in the world. And that'll be all prove very useful for you. Thank you for that, because I know there's lots of us that need to hear this, right? And understand this, that what we if we don't stay in an emotional energy long enough, it doesn't have time to create effects in time, space, and matter. Remember, emotion organizes matter, right? This glass of water, it will not freeze if I put it. It will not freeze if I put it in the freezer instantly. It will not freeze. It will over a period of time. And so too, the world around you is that glass of water, and you are the temperature called freezing. And your vision, your emotion will organize that, but it will take some time. Be patient. Impatience will short circuit your creative process. Um, let's see. Blaine is asking for Adama, can you please confirm a date and time for us? The first numbers that come up, Blaine, are August 13th. Is there a time with that? Just 12:00 a.m. 12:00 a.m. That's what comes in immediately for that, Blaine. Marigold is asking, what thoughts should I focus on to receive clarity on what I am to do as a profession? It's interesting you ask that question, because this has come up a few times too, and they taught me this as well. Listen, it's important to understand. I'm going to ask you a question right now, Marigold. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be mindful of what your first feeling is. Yes, and so Metatron's just saying to me, this is a different process than what we are instructing of today. But listen to this one. For you, this will be right. I'm going to ask you a question, Marigold, and I want you to be aware of the first response that happens within you as an energy when I ask this question. So just center yourself in for a moment and let me ask this question. How would you feel right now if you were in the profession of your dreams? And that first emotion that comes up from that, what was it? Tell us what that first emotion is, because it is that first emotion that comes up in response to that question that is the building block from a perspective of energy that will enable you to create that which it represents as your living expression. So please tell us what that emotion was in response to that question. And it is that emotion that you can build the whole world around, right? That's why you can take, yes, Metatron's just saying, you can build your entire life around but one thought, even just the thought of love. And if you can stay with the energy of that thought, it will literally recreate your whole life to be as it is. Yes, I know. So I'm just laughing because he says it's very simple, and I'm agreeing with him. Question from Tanya. Is there a way to shine a light in our deep unconscious mind to break it open? Yes. She's saying anything that happens in your life to disturb you is an opening for you to shine a light within your unconscious mind. Understand, anything that disturbs your peace, anything that puts you off, is a doorway that has been opened for you to look inside to purify and cleanse that which is inside you that no longer serves you. Many of you are easily willing to avoid your discomfort, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional. But many of you are, fewer still are willing to make the changes necessary in that discomfort. You prefer to get rid of it or ignore it or drug it or sedate it or give it sugar. So anything that you find annoying you or disturbing you, please understand that these are the places where you need to shine light within yourself to liberate yourself from those things, those energies, those emotions that inhibit you from creatively functioning effectively in the present. Great question. Thank you, Tanya. Sunny is asking, is management consulting a good career path for me? It's funny. Metatron immediately said, tell her, please, if she has doubt about her career path, she will never be certain about her career path. Until you eliminate that emotional energy of doubt, you will continue to repeat your uncertainty about all things. For it is within you that your failure and success lies, in terms of what you think and what you feel, what you consistently or inconsistently do. Thank you. Daniel's asking, where do I go to register to this course about channeling? WilliamMichaelForbes.com and all the /courses there. Or you can just go to WilliamMichaelForbes.com and go through the menu there as well. Yeah, it's a 3-week course, and it's mind blowing. Like I said, we have a couple of students on today that have just had their lives completely changed from these courses, as has my life been changed by them. When they first brought the courses through us, it was pretty profound to realize that these beings are seriously here. They are highly evolved interdimensional beings, ascended masters, guardian angels, earth creatures that are not in the sensory realm, but in a non-sensory realm. There are beings that are waiting for you to acknowledge them, hear them, feel them, sense them, know them. And they've come through these courses, and they've come through the courses of many others as well. There's lots of light workers now coming out to teach and share the wisdom and knowledge and help people discover that for themselves. Because it's not just about teaching you, it's about you becoming that which you are here to become. Miriam is asking, can a past event Can a past event could have happened for the purpose of bringing some clarity in the future? Absolutely, and yes, absolutely. I'm going to share on that a very intimate experience for me about an awareness of a past event illuminating me in the future, and it was the memory of the very first time. My biological father was not a very intimate man, but one day he chose to be really intimate with me, and he brought me up on his lap in front of the television set, and he was really excited. And I'd eaten something on the lawn. I didn't know what it was. I was like 3 years old then, and I remember suddenly throwing up on his lap and him getting really angry and upset with me. And then he literally picked me up and threw me away, and I hit the floor, and I was really upset and angry and hurt. And I didn't realize at that time that the events that we have emotionally create future events. So whatever we feel creates an emotional event. Whatever we feel as an emotion creates future events. In that case, it created an event of abuse that I went through for a number of years, because the intensity of my desire, coupled with my anger, the desire to be close to my father, and the anger I felt at being rejected, produced a relationship where I acquired a stepfather who was very, very intimate with me physically, but highly abusive and aggressive. And so the emotions of that 3-year-old self that I was, coupled with the anger and the desire, produced an event like that. And from that, and I didn't realize that until I was about 29, 30 years old. So I realized all emotions will create experience in our life. When you realize that when something happened, well, why did this happen to me? Yes, absolutely. There are emotions from our past that will produce events in our present, unless we can change the emotion. If you gain access, that's why we stress gaining access to your subconscious mind, those irritations, those things that happen to you and around you that upset you or frustrate you. Learn to let go of that frustration and upset and replace it with joy and love and excitement and compassion. And then let them be the creative influences. But anything inside you that upsets you is because it's something inside you that was upsetting. Learn to let that energy go. Again, we give instructions on how to do that in the course, where in our Mediumship 102 course, where we teach you how to let go of your past emotions, so they don't keep repeating over and over again in your life. And it happens with bad relationships, abusive relationships, addiction. Most repetitive destructive behaviors in our life are because of repetitive negative emotions stored in our subconscious mind that we're not aware of, but they dictate our behavior, right? 90% of people's behavior is unconscious. 90% of your thoughts are unconscious. You want to flip that around so that 90% of your thoughts and behavior are conscious, right? And you have choice and creative power. Wow, cool. Good question. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Marigold. Yeah, thank you. So Marigold just said the emotion she felt when we asked her that question was joy. And that it's that emotion that when you focus on that, you don't have to worry about what it's going to look like in the world, because it's an emotion of joy. And it's going to create, the stronger that emotion gets, the more of a creative influence it becomes on your life. And you don't have to be attached to what's joy going to look like. It's going to be joy. Just as something, when you think about angry, fearful thoughts and suddenly experiencing angry, fearful things, um, it's the same thing for joy, except you're going to get joy. So stay focused, really ground yourself in that joy. Like, oh yeah, like feel it everywhere in your whole being. Put it out in the space and time around you, so that you really own that and let that energy work for you. One of the reasons men designed machines is because the machines can be conditioned to get more done. Like that, when backhoes and road graders and heavy machinery that can do things, mining equipment that can move mountains literally, whereas a man by himself can't. So you want to leverage the power of your emotion, because your emotion is the heavy machinery of your soul. I like that. Emotion is the heavy machinery of your soul. When you learn to use emotion deliberately and intentionally, you start to move mountains literally. That's what Master Jesus has spoken about many, many times. When you can feel a thing, it'll be done unto you. Okay. Um, um, Lydia's asking, could you ask my higher self if there's a spiritual reason behind the knee pain me, my husband, and daughter are experiencing, please? Well, this is a great time to be asking me about that. I just went through, it's all cleared up now. I had this rash with my lower legs, and I've tried the creams and the salves, nothing worked. And then suddenly they told me and said, "Are you ready to listen to us now?" And I said, "Okay, sure, I'm ready to listen." And they said, "Go into the feeling that you have about the rash." And so I did. I went in, and all of a sudden I felt all this irritation inside my subconscious. I'm like, wow, it's irritation. And that rash represented that emotion. It's the only way my subconscious mind could tell me something's going on inside that's not feeling good. And so I went, then they told me to feel the irritation and then breathe it and release it from my body, breathe it out. And so I literally did that for days, breathing the irritation up and exhaling out of the body. Over a period of 10 days, it just left. It just literally left. Um, so any condition in the body requires a preceding emotional um, state in the subconscious mind. So you want to go get you and your husband and your daughter, go into what is the emotion, not the sensation of pain, but what is the emotion that pain represents. Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? Whatever the emotion is, and you want to release that emotion. That's what it's telling me right now. Tell her to release that emotion. Release that emotion. Okay, thank you. Great question. um, uh, let's see. Uh, so Tanya is asking, can our future selves send us new thoughts to create our future? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. They're saying this, they're jumping up and down for you right now, saying, yes, once you begin to understand that you are not limited to the timeline in which you are perceiving your being at this, then you may draw upon that future awareness of self, just as you may use the self-awareness that you have of now and give that to that of your past. You may give the knowledge and wisdom you have now to that part of you that was in the timeline and is in the timeline of being a child, or 8 or 9. You may from the future give to the past, and you may receive in the present that from your future. There are no restrictions. In this awareness, you understand that then your consciousness can incorporate more experience of being in a greater expansion of time and space, which is what we do. It is why we can be in so many places at once and not be diminished in our effectiveness. For our awareness is not bound to a localized specific time and space. We embrace far more time and space in awareness than most of you can, but each of you are capable of doing so. I like this because this was resolvable. So what I call resolvable perks from when they told us first that it's a matter of how expanded or contracted your awareness is that allows you to incorporate or be more aware of more. So Master Jesus and Buddha, all these beings, the Pleiadians, they have the ability to expand their awareness, so they can sense and encompass within their awareness your whole life, and be aware of all of that is true of you. And they can be aware of that. They can be aware of entire civilizations that have spanned thousands of years, because their awareness is not confined to one localized point of time and space, like many of us are in these physical bodies. When you start to realize it's about the level of the expansion of your awareness determines what you can incorporate into your consciousness, then it changes significantly what becomes available to you to be able to think, feel, say, be, and do at any point of time and space. And why the masters are not restricted in terms of the knowledge they have that they can share with us, right? They can share any knowledge with us because their awareness is expanded. So they have more knowledge and information available because of the expansion of their awareness. So learning to expand your awareness becomes very important. And again, that gets covered in the courses and classes too. As well, it's been covered in the shortcuts. And I mean, they're here to teach us all. Yeah, and yeah, if you want to support the work and you like the messages you're hearing and experiencing here, please become a member of my Patreon page, William Michael Forbes, www.patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. As well, you can offer a support, or you can pay for a super chat, or offer stickers here. And you can also benefit us by joining the course and classes, because this information is getting out regardless of what's happening. They told us that there's so many different channels right now putting this information out to everybody. It's great. It's wonderful. And it's a blessing to all of us. Reflection is asking, I have been seeing the number 888 almost every day. What does that mean to me? Um, Metatron says, I will answer this for you if you understand the significance of the 8. If you tilt it on its side, you understand there are multi-dimensions. On its side, the number in your language represents infinity. Well, there is an infinity in this timeline that you exist in now, as there is in another and another. And you are able to access, if you so choose, with your awareness, these other dimensions. But it will take some letting go on your part to become consistently clear on where your awareness is in regard to this. When you begin to release the limiting beliefs you have about your experience of time and space, and that it does not all necessarily relate to the physical expression in which you exist right now, you will find yourself being able to learn much more and understand much more in a shorter time frame. Um, mm-hmm. He's also saying, and your awareness will grow immensely. So that's cool. So yeah, so if you stack the 8s on their sides, he's saying those are 3 different, very, very different dimensions of eternity, right? Which is very fascinating. Different dimensions of eternity, and so this dimension we're in goes on infinitely, but there are other dimensions, and you have the ability to access them. That's really cool. Um, wow. Um, uh, Wonderful. Question from Zenobia's. Zenobia's Eternal Garden. I love that, by the way. That's a great name, Zenobia. Question is, do my guides have anything they want to say to me? They're saying we always have something we want to say to you. What we would ask you, are you always willing to listen? For we have said many things to you. Are you willing to listen? For what we would have to say to you today is to spend time in stillness and in solitude and be open to receiving the vibration that we have been hoping you would open your heart to receiving. And in that vibration, articulating its essence into a new expression that you are here to articulate to others through what you are currently doing. Wonderful. Wow. Mary Magdalene is in that group that you work with. I really like that. She really came out strong there. Let's see. I think we got time for another couple of questions here. You're welcome, Reflection. Oh, thank you, Drusilla. I appreciate that $20. Um, Drusilla says, "Hey, I'm not getting the notifications anymore." What? I'm not sure what that means, Drusilla, but it's good to have you back, and it was really wonderful meeting with you over the weekend. Question from Carolyn: will learning the piano be helpful for new creative connections and help working with clients with cognitive impairments? Absolutely. But they're saying, I don't know who this is, but they're saying it is important you not focus on the um, I'm not sure how to put this. It's do not get caught so much in the focus of the process of order of these keys, but be focused more upon the emotional process that those that you train will experience. It is important you connect them to the emotion within themselves that will allow them to articulate the expression with this instrument you call the piano. It is merely a tool to enable them to reconnect to themselves and not simply a process for teaching them to mechanically play a piano. The teaching of the process, the order of notes, will be helpful at different points in time for the different individuals that you will work with. But what is most important is that the instrument be used to connect these individuals to an emotional awareness of themselves creatively to be executed in this world overtly. Thank you. Wow, thank you, Karen. Great question. Question. Oh, you're welcome, Zenobia. Well, and that's true. Though we do have to listen. uh, Tanya's asking, it seems I am sitting on Metatron's ley line. Is it true? I have a connection going on with you specifically. He says yes, but he says that line, I don't know why, but he's saying this is of a native elder. This line that you were sitting on is not his personally, although he is related to this individual. It is a native elder from, he's saying, many seasons of Earth back, that used to contemplate here, that used to connect to the great Earth and freely give his love to her and freely receive it from her. This is the one that you are most aware of. But I do work with you, but the one of which you refer to now is not who I am. And they do not wish to reveal their name, but they're showing me a smiling wolf. So I don't know what that means, but they're showing me an image of a smiling wolf, this native elder. And this is going back before what we call modern man. We're talking back in probably the 15th, 16th century area. Yeah, but they're showing me a smiling wolf. Very interesting. Thank you. I haven't experienced that one yet. I think I've got time for. Oh, so happy to hear that, Drusilla. Wonderful. That gives my heart joy. When you start listening to your guides and angels, thank you so much. And you realize that these beings exist. Like, these beings exist. They are not separate from us, but they are separate from us by perception. When you learn to open your awareness up and start to hear and feel, there is a solution to every problem. There's an answer to every question. There's a being that is you, that's yearning to be that which is you freely and fully. Your guides and your angels, these ascended masters, these other multidimensional beings, they are here for us all. They can only be heard and felt when we are open to hearing them and feeling them and seeing them, not necessarily with our ears and eyes. That's happened for me. You can actually physically see them and physically hear them. It's rare, but it happens. And it can happen. But they're always as an energy around us, willing to communicate to and through us. And you want to learn to open up your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, your non-physical senses. We'll teach you how to do that. Join us for the courses. So glad to hear that, Drusilla. Yeah, you never lose memory. Wow. Well, wow, Tanya. Wow, thank you for saying that. But yeah, smiling wolf. It'd be interesting if you look at if you've got any local native tribes around you, or if you can find the native community that existed prior to American colonization. If you can find any of the descendants, ask them if they ever heard about Smiling Wolf. Right? He's literally smiling in my head right now. Oh, thank you so much. Fee is asking, how many guides do I have, and what are their names? Well, hang on, I'm still kind of blissed out over Smiling Wolf here. It's pretty intense. You have 3 guides currently. One that stands before you, and 2 others. One that you would know of as Master Jesus, and another that you would know of as Joan of Arc. Interesting. These are your primary guides at this time. There are many others, but there is foundational work that you are in the process of establishing in your consciousness that will facilitate the opening from within yourself of knowing of these many others. The journey now is within you to reshape and resculpt your inner landscape so that it is pleasing to you. And you will observe that the world will also become more pleasing to you when the world within you is pleasing to you. Thank you, Fee. Wow, that's hilarious. So I'm just reading the feed from Tanya. You know, I want to thank all you guys, the support you guys give to this work. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this. Get the message out. Like this, this is knowledge. You know, there's so many places that charge an arm and a leg for people to get this knowledge. And they said to us, no, they told us to do these things minimal to provide this to as many people in as short a time frame as possible. So please share this video, give it a thumbs up. When you give a video on my page a thumbs up, on my YouTube channel a thumbs up, you put it up in the rankings. It goes up and gets seen and experienced by more people. And this isn't about me. This is about the information, the ideas that my guides, my angels, and your guides and your angels are trying to get to the world, to the people that are in deep sleep, that need to awaken, that need to be liberated from suffering. Suffering is an illusion of attachment. That's all it is. Suffering is an illusion of attachment, right? The belief that you can't let go of something. You know, in Africa, they used to hunt these little monkeys, and the way they'd catch these little monkeys is they would put a little hole in the side of a cave, and they would that would be big enough for a monkey's hand to fit in, and inside that hole would be the monkey's favorite food. And so the monkey would put its hand in the hole, and it would find the food, it would grab it, and try to pull its hand out. Now it was stuck, and the person would just literally walk up to the monkey who's trying to desperately get its hand out and clunk it on the head. Our emotional attachment to the past is like that. We look back to try and figure out what happened. It's like sticking your hand in the hole and you grab onto what happened, and now you're stuck. You get knocked on the head by your past. I love that. It's a funny metaphor. Wow. Uh, Uh, Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So that, yes. So again, we'll see you on Wednesday at 10 a.m. for whatever we're going to, again, this literally doesn't get put together. This thing literally just happens in the last few minutes prior to going live. All of what was going to be covered and discussed, they run it down into my system, literally, and then they stand by to communicate with you. So this is something that's not planned. This is something we've been guided to do, and we will continue to do this as long as they tell us this is the course we need to be on at this time. And again, if you want to support this work, become a member of my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video. Also, if you want to learn how to channel and connect your own guides and angels and get connected to that place that is divine within you, please sign up for the mediumship courses, which are starting September 5th. All the information for that is on my website at williammichaelforbes.com. I want to say again, thank you everybody for showing up, and I will see you on Wednesday. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.